And now let's talk about if we can travel in time. Okay, how can we travel in time? How do you think we can do it? Do we know a way to travel in time right now? About science, we can say, okay, that's a way to do it. There are different ways to travel in time, probably a projection, so look at on the future, or probably moving on time. Okay, and you see in internet, on YouTube, a lot of videos of people that are time travelers. A video of a lady just using a cellular phone in an old movie, but she was talking in a cellular phone. Some guy just with camera and glasses and t-shirt in the middle of people, but it looks like it's not from this time. A guy from Russia, I guess was in Ukraine, that just was taking pictures, took a picture of a UFO and just appears some years in the future and then disappear and go back and they move to the future and send pictures of the future, one future city of Russia. Maybe all of that is fake. If you look at that, you find some clues that show you that they are not real. Or maybe some of them are real. We don't know. Okay? So can we travel in time? Actually, there's one way that we can travel in time. We have done with the current science. According to Einstein theory, if we have two twins, let's say Peter and George. Peter and George are twins. And one of them is an astronaut and is going to go into a spaceship to do a travel on the universe. And the other one is going to stay on Earth. But Peter just go into his spaceship and did a travel that just lasts probably 1 or 2 years, flying close to the speed of light. When he come back to Earth, on Earth will be probably 30 years, had passed 30 years. In his clock, on board of his spaceship, is only 2 years. When he come back, it's 30 years. That is something that is being proved by astronauts. Actually, the astronauts has put some clocks on the spaceships, on the space station, and they synchronize 2 different clocks, watch, and they notice that the one that is traveling all the time, when they come back to Earth, they notice that there is a difference, a tiny fraction of a second. So it's a difference. So that is being proved that is happening. So in that case, you can think that Peter made a time travel to the future 30 years later. So in that way, if he just only by traveling on close to the speed of light, he can do a time travel to the future. Imagine right now you can just jump into a spaceship, just move close to the speed of light and then come back. Probably here it's past 50 years, but for you, it could be only 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, you did a 50 years time travel to the future. That's one way to do it. Yes, so it is possible to do a time travel to the future. Another way is something that the scientists has in theory, but they have not evidence yet of their existence, are the wormholes. Like the black holes, that was a theory that was postulated several decades ago, but right now there is evidence that the black hole exists. There are actually photographs of black holes that are available for the scientists. The wormhole is like the black holes, but instead of going down and never return, you go to another parts of the universe. So this is the universe in a three-dimensional space that is curved, but here we show it like a two-dimensional surface, but it's curved. So instead of flying at the speed of light that takes a lot of time from going from one place to another, you can go through a shortcut and do that time faster. So in that way, you can connect from one place to the universe to another place of the universe. So you are doing a time travel because you are arriving at a different time. So can some spaceship do some changes or create a wormhole and just transfer to another part of the space-time? That's something that the spaceships, the UFOs, that Billy Mayer has been taking photos of them, and he's been aboard of some of them. That's something that could be done. Guido Musgrove explained how it's been done. He explained that what is quite interesting. Actually, the universe, you know, is expanding. Have you heard about the expansion of the universe after the Big Bang? So the universe, every second, is bigger. So right now, our atoms is expanding. The distance between them are increasing slowly. But maybe just a little tiny fraction, so we are not aware of that. But everything in the universe is expanding. So that means the speed of light, that is a constant, probably is not constant on time. In the future, it's going to be different than it is right now. So it gives some kind of signature or trace of when in the universe you are at some point of time. So what Guido explained is that this chip, because they have a tachyon drive, this is using tachyon particles, they can be set up on a frequency that match exactly the frequency of a future time. So let's say, for example, the tachyon vibration at this time, let's say it is 100, to put some number. But in 1,000 years, it's going to be 112. Instead of 100, it will be 112. So you are here and you change the tachyon drive and you put the frequency in 112 and just fill your spaceship with these tachyon molecules or whatever. And you do that, travel through this hyperspace, you're right on the future. Okay? So that's the way that he explained. It's some kind of confusing, you know. It's not very clear. As I told you, I'm going to give you more questions than answers, but that's the way that he's explaining that this is happening. Is there evidence of time travels? Okay, to travel in time, there are different ways to do it. Actually, in Billy Bayer material, you find there are 3 ways to travel through the times. The first one is called the visualization. This is what we explained. Just look at the future events. The second one will be the projection. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And the third one is materialization. So these 3 types of 3 possibilities to travel in time. Visualization. Visualization is that you can see future events or you can see past events without traveling. Actually, this is not a traveling. This is one way to take a photograph or look at something that is going to happen in the future. In the contact report 680, that was done on May 7, 2017, just 2 years ago, Billy Mayer and Pat are talking about a device that he has. The extraterrestrial at this moment, they have a device that was given to them for another extraterrestrial race, but the Pleiadians has a device that they can see the future events on Earth with 41 days in advance. You can read that contact report and you can see the explanations. So they are right now watching future events that is happening on Earth. For example, in 30 days, in 1 month, there's going to be a volcanic eruption. They will see it in that device. I imagine it's like a big screen that they can focus different places on Earth and they see the future. So they know in advance things that are going to happen. And they have some kind of monitoring teams. Some people, as I understand, they're monitoring key events. Doesn't mean that they're going to be interfering in everything. They are not going to be here just to solve our problems. But at least they are watching future events. So you can read that contact report. The projection is one way to travel in time. Actually, Billy Mayer described on this very interesting contact report, 142, he gives some explanation about time travel. The projection says that is the way that we as human beings are going to learn first. Is the most natural way to travel in time. Projection means that we, by natural ways or doing very simple device, we will be in the future be able to travel to future or to the past. But in that way, we will be traveling in a different dimension. So we'll be in a dimension that if we are right there, nobody will see us. Let's suppose that we have a time machine, like the Orson Welles time machines on the Time Machine movie. So you sit there and you just set up the date and you go and travel to the future or to the past. When you arrive, you cannot interact with everybody. Nobody will see you. You will be like a ghost observing things. You will be invisible, but you will be there watching everything. So in that sense, you cannot change the future, you cannot change the past. You will be an observer. And this is, he said that this is the most natural way and the first way that we will learn on how to travel to the future. Because we arrive in a level of consciousness and materialization that we are not able to interact with them. In that sense, and this type of traveling, we are not able to change events. But there's another way that Billy explains that it requires a higher level of technology. We will not know it for several centuries. Is that we can materialize ourselves there with the use of technology, but also requires some kind of conscious level. So it requires that the people that are doing that have some different conscious level, because in order to do that, it requires a different setting of the time and space. Read the contact 142, and that's very interesting. I explain a lot of that. What is very curious, if you read all of that, you say, what? What is here? I don't really understand what all that he's saying. But at the end, Billy said, oh, that's very simple to understand. And St. Justice said, yes, it's very simple, but the human beings are not really capable or ready to understand that, the concept of time. But it's very interesting to read it. I just invite you to read that one. Examples of materialization, you can look at the time travel to France or to the 13th century. I'm going to talk about that now. At the end of this presentation, the travel back to meet Emmanuel. Emmanuel was a prophet that lived 2,000 years ago. Some people call it today Jesus Christ, but his real name was Emmanuel. Just talking about that is going to take us probably 2 hours, so this is a very long presentation. Another one is the contact report 39 that St. Joseph did travel with Billy and Pat, and they were back in time and they were looking at the dinosaurs and they were taking pictures of dinosaurs. And Billy was carrying a gun. Quite funny. Imagine Billy there with the dinosaurs and with just a pistol or something like that. But St. Joseph just helping just freezing some dinosaurs for a moment, because he was able to take pictures of the dinosaurs. And also in the future, something that is very curious is that he says he went to the future and he saw colonies on the moon. And he said that in the future we will have some kind of beam ships, very simple spaceship like flying saucers that we can use it, very primitive ones, but we will be able to see it. In YouTube you'll find a very interesting video done by Randall Winters. Randall Winters was one of the first people that were interested in Billy Mayer's case. In one of those videos he shows some photographs that Billy showed him as he's presenting. One of them is very curious one, shows a spaceship with the NASA logo on one of the sides in front of Mars, flying in front of Mars. Randall Winters' interpretation was, well, you see, NASA has some spaceships that right now are in Mars. It's not possible because NASA doesn't have that technology yet. What I think is that what we saw was a photograph of a future event. Most probably Billy Mayer was there, took a photograph and captured a future NASA spacecraft flying on the top of Mars. You will see it on one of those videos from Randall Winters in YouTube. So there are different options. You can see here different possibilities. You can read them on different contact reports. This is for your own investigation.